Okay, a whole new chapter. We're now in Queensland, Hervey Bay. When we got here, I was never supposed to work again. I was meant to retire and just look after the family. Well, things soon changed with that. When we moved here, we rented a house for 6 months in an estate just in one of the suburbs of Hervey Bay. And across the road was a beautiful lady and her husband. And I became really good friends with her and her two daughters. They would call round every Friday afternoon to their mother's place and for Friday afternoon drinks. So I would toddle across the road with my glass of Coke in my hand and I'd join in with them. Well, her sister owned a business in Hervey Bay, and one of the daughters of this person, who became my adopted mum also, needed a new bookkeeper. And one of the girls that I would drink with on a Friday afternoon, she used to do the bookkeeping, but she wanted to change and not do it anymore. So they asked me if I would do it. So I said yes. So that ended up 3 nights a week going there to do the books for their 5 shops. And also the lady who lives next door to me, she was the area manager, I think it was, for Weight Watchers. And she needed somebody to go and help her run one of her meetings. So she asked me if I'd go back and do that. So I used to do that on a Tuesday and I think on a Saturday. I'd go and do that in the morning, do the bookwork and run the meeting for Weight Watchers. So much for me retiring. I did enjoy it, but it got me out of the house a little bit. And the lady whose bookkeeping I did, my adopted mum's sister, her husband, I just adored him. I used to love listening to his little stories and everything when I'd go there of an afternoon to do his books and things. I just adored him. And these people, all of them, welcomed me completely into their family, in which was lovely. I used to go and do a lot of family things with them. And I do miss that now. So while we rented this house, I was off looking for a house for us to buy and make it home. I looked all around Hervey Bay, but I kept going to Dundarren Beach as being the place that I love. So we ended up buying a house out there, which was great, right on the lagoon. So we backed onto the lagoon, in which was good fun, especially for my granddaughter. All the kids in the area used to get out with their canoes and they'd be playing. And if we went to visit people along the lagoon of a night time, we'd get into the canoe as well and just paddle down and go and visit, and then we'd have a party or whatever we were doing, and then we'd paddle home. The people in the area were really lovely, so I just loved being out there. But we were just in the process of moving in, so I hadn't unpacked it. Everything had just been delivered there. And my daughter had applied for a job at the hospital. But in the meantime of that, she got a permanent job selling real estate, so she didn't want that. When they rang her and she said, oh well, hang on, my mum's done admin stuff. Why don't you have a talk to her? And I'm going to my daughter, no, I'm not going back to work. And anyway, so she handed me the phone over, and of course I was dumbfounded, so I spoke to this lady on the end of the phone and told her a little bit about myself. She said, well, can you send me in your resume? Can you do it straight away? I thought, oh yeah, righto. So I got off the phone and I sent my resume in, and I said to Tamara, I said, this is ridiculous. I've never had, it was in their education department. I said, I've never had any education experience. It's all been finance. So about 10 minutes later, this lady rang me back and she said, Loretta, we'd really like you to come in for an interview. Can you come in first thing tomorrow morning? And I said, yeah, sure. But I had to go to Maryborough. I said, yeah, sure, that's fine. What time, whereabouts? And I'll be there. And when I got off the phone once again from this lady, I said to her, I said, oh, this is a waste of time, but I'll go and have a cup of tea. It'll be all right. So I went down, met this panel of 3 people. Government jobs never do anything with just one interview. There's always 3 people. And I just sat there having a chat, telling them, you know, a little bit about myself. And then they sat me in front of a computer and they said, we'd really like you to do this bit of a computer test on, you know, moving stuff around and doing things. And I said, yeah, righto. So I did that. And I said, thank you very much. I'll see you later, and went home. Well, the following day they rang and they said, Loretta, we'd like you to offer you a position under contract, and we'd like you to start first thing on Monday morning. And I think by this time it was about a Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. So off I went. And that's how I got into education and within the hospital system here at Hervey Bay. It was good for me. I did like it. Okay, so now I am back working 5.5 days a week and 3 nights a week, trying to keep everybody's jobs going that they all wanted me to do. I knew the Queensland Health one was only for a contract. It was for a contract for 12 months, which was fine, but it was 5 days a week. But then that got extended a little bit at the end anyway. I feel really lucky that I've always just fallen into positions, jobs. People just see something in me. And yes, I am a hard worker and I'm honest and reliable. I always show up. So that carries around with you, I think, from one job to the next. And people come to you, I suppose. They just fell in my lap. After a little while with working in Maryborough, they asked me if I'd go to work at the Hervey Bay Hospital in the education and library unit there. And I said, yeah, sure. Hervey Bay was great for me because it was just at home. And while I was working for Queensland Health, I did their accreditation through clinical governance. So I was still sort of in the education unit, but I took this sideline position and I was sort of doing them both at the same time. And I had 3 months to get accreditation ready. That was really good. That was a big learning thing for me. And what I had to do was go and see the doctors, particularly the ones who do different surgeries or different procedures, and get them to rewrite them, and then I would type them up and then I would load them up onto the internet so they were available for everybody. So I got to know all the heads of department really well and all the doctors. And I used to feel that they'd see me coming down the corridor and they'd duck off because they go, oh no, Loretta's coming, she wants us to do another one. But they were really good. But I was really nice to them. I was always happy and smiling and you know, they were really good to help out. But it was their job to do it also. So the 3 months had passed, I'd got all the accreditation ready. The surveyors were coming in at 7 o'clock on Monday morning. Now with the agreement on bringing my granddaughter to Queensland, every school holidays or different times, I had to deliver my granddaughter, back to Orange. And this happened to be a weekend when I had finalised the accreditation. The surveyors were coming on Monday. It had to be finished. I'd worked very hard, long hours to get it done. So on the Friday afternoon after work, packed my granddaughter up, we got in the car and we headed back to Orange. About 13.5 hour solid driving to get there. my granddaughter was really good to travel with. When we stopped to get fuel is when we got something to eat and went to the toilet and jumped back in the car and keep going. Well, we got to Orange at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the Saturday afternoon. I met them in the car park at Woolworths, gave them my granddaughter, turned around, came straight back. So I drove straight back from Orange. So I got to Dalby. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning. On the Sunday morning, I was really exhausted, so I just parked the car at a service station, jumped in the back and laid down and went to have a rest. And I was only asleep for about 15 minutes when all of a sudden, bang, this guy backed straight into the back of my brand new car. I'd only had it for a week, and knocked me off the back seat. And anyway, I got out of the car and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I really didn't see you." And I've gone, "Charter boat?" "What charter boat?" Because there was an ad on at the time on TV where some guy in a little tinny hit a big charter boat. It was an insurance ad. Anyway, I was just being funny. And anyway, I said to him, I have just driven over 2,000 kilometres. I have dodged wild pigs, kids, emus, dogs, kangaroos. I did hit an owl coming into Gundawindi. And I said, "I thought I was safe in the back of my car asleep, and you hit me." He paid for it. It was all good. I thought it was quite funny. So that was the end of my sleep. I thought I may as well just jump back in and keep going. So I continued on the drive home from Dalby to Hervey Bay, which is about 4 or 5 hours. I don't remember now. And had a bit of a rest. Got up Monday morning, had to be at work at 7 o'clock or before 7 o'clock. The surveyors were going to be there at 7 o'clock, so I had to have everything open and ready for them and greet them at the door as they come through. So I started work at 6:30 on the Monday morning. But it was all successful. It was all good. And but while I was working for Queensland Health also in that department and within the libraries, I used to book rooms out for lectures or meetings or whatever. I'd have to sit in on certain meetings and take notes and things. So while I was doing that, the university was based at the hospital at that time, and I used to do a lot with the students. I'd find them rooms or, different things for them to study in or whatever. And I got really quite close to the lady who was the supervisor at the uni there. And I was coming to the end of my contract with Queensland Health. And the guy that she worked with, he was leaving the position and going to work for Queensland Health. So she approached me and asked me if I'd go and work at the uni, apply for a position at the uni, to work with her and the students, because I already knew them all really well, and it was within the hospital system, so I had a good reputation and rapport with everybody at the hospital, so I was a really good candidate for it. So I did. When my contract finished, I went to work with the University of Queensland. That was about early 2011.